Namaskar and welcome. Well, Home Minister Amit Shah today reiterated that the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is completely normal. He asserted that political leaders will be released when the local administration thinks it fit to do so, without any interference from the centre. Amit Shah said that restrictions in all police station areas have been lifted and there was not a single death reported due to police firing after the scrapping of Article 370. Jammu and Kashmir is in focus tonight. Let's begin with the headlines. Situation completely normal in Jammu and Kashmir, says Home Minister Amit Shah in the Lok Sabha. Points out that not a single person has died in police firing since the abrogation of Article 370. Also says that the decision to release detained political leaders is up to the local administration. There's no interference from the centre. The Lok Sabha approves the 126th Constitution Amendment Bill. The bill seeks to extend SC/ST reservation for the next 10 years in the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. Government prepares to introduce the Citizenship Amendment Bill in the Rajya Sabha tomorrow. The government rejects the comment by a US Federal Commission on the bill, says that comment is regrettable. The Union Environment Minister, Prasar Bharati, addresses COP25 in Madrid and says that India is walking the talk in its climate change commitments and has reduced emission intensity of its GDP by 21%. Says that India is on track to achieve the goal of 35% reduction. India, in fact, is in the top 10 for the first time in Climate Change Performance Index for low per capita energy use. Campaigning ends for the third phase of voting in Jharkhand. All parties campaign vigorously on the last day. 17 assembly constituencies and 8 districts go to the polls on Thursday. Hearing on the Unnao kidnap and rape case involving accused MLA Kuldeep Sengar is completed. A Delhi court will pronounce its judgment on December 16. International Human Rights Day is being observed today. President Ramnath Kovind expresses grief and concern over the recent incidents of violence against women. In international news, the US House Judiciary Committee unveils impeachment charges against US President Donald Trump. He is charged on 2 counts with misuse of office and obstructing the US Congress. We also have one more headline, which is that the 13th South Asian Games concludes with a colourful closing ceremony, and India has topped the tally with 312 medals, including 174 gold medals. Let's begin with our top news story of the day. Now, the Home Minister Amit Shah, as I said earlier, had told the Lok Sabha that the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is completely normal. He asserted that not a single bullet has been fired and that 99.5% of students had taken their examinations. He also pointed out that 7 lakh patients had also visited the OPD, that's the outpatient department facility in Srinagar. All this after August 5. So the Home Minister was replying to a question by the Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary in the Lok Sabha and tearing into the Congress party's position on the word normal. Amit Shah contrasted the peaceful situation in Jammu and Kashmir with what the Congress had forecast would happen in the aftermath of the abrogating of Article 370, noting that nothing like that has happened. The Congress had predicted, in fact, bloodshed after August 5.
Jammu and Kashmir has been peaceful and normal ever since the abrogation of Article 370. Speaking in Lok Sabha in reply to a question by Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, Union Home Minister Amit Shah spoke in detail about the situation in Jammu and Kashmir. He referred to several parameters of normalcy and suggested the Congress would only be satisfied with a political understanding of normalcy.
Jammu Kashmir की जनता और विशेषकर घाटी की जनता है, पूरी तरह से स्थिति नॉर्मल है. कांग्रेस की स्थिति में नॉर्मल नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि उन्होंने यहाँ भाषण किए थे कि 370 हटने के बाद रक्तपात हो जाएगा, खून की नदियां बह जाएगी, सालों सालों तक कर्फ्यू नहीं उठा पाएंगे. कुछ नहीं हुआ मान्यवर. एक भी गोली नहीं चली, एक भी जगह पे गोली से किसी भी व्यक्ति की मृत्यु नहीं हुई। 99.5% बच्चों ने एग्जाम दिया है, वो उनको ठीक नहीं लगता है। सिर्फ श्रीनगर में 7 लाख से ज्यादा ओपीडी के पेशेंट आए, वो ठीक नहीं लगता है। सारे थानों में से कर्फ्यू हटा लिया, ये नॉर्मल नहीं लगता है। सारे थानों में से 144 हटा दी गई, वो नॉर्मल नहीं लगता है।
On preventive detention of certain political leaders, Amit Shah clarified that a decision on their release from house arrest would be taken by the local administration. Reminding the Congress party of its own track record in this matter, the Home Minister said that the Modi government does not interfere in the working of the local administration.
नॉर्मलसी कब आएगा और वहां से हमारे बहुत सारे पार्टी के लीडर हिरासत में है, उनको कब छोड़ा जाएगा? जहां तक राजनीतिक नेताओं का जेल में रहने का सवाल है, प्रतिबंधित आदेशों के तहत, मैं इतना ही कहना चाहता हूं कि हमें किसी को भी एक दिन ज्यादा जेल में रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, ना इच्छा भी। जब वहां का प्रशासन निर्णय करेगा तब उनकी रिहाई हो जाएगी। अभी ये सब 5 महीने 6 महीने से जेल में है। फारूक अब्दुल्ला के पिता शेख अब्दुल्ला को कांग्रेस पार्टी ने साहब 11 साल तक जेल में रखा था, 11 साल तक।
The Home Minister told the House that elections to Panchayat and Talukas in Jammu and Kashmir were conducted peacefully and with the cooperation of stakeholders.
सारे पंचायत के चुनाव नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की पहली टर्म में 40,000 पंच सरपंच के चुनाव हमने समाप्त किए, जो आज तक नहीं किए गए, सालों सालों तक इनके शासन में नहीं हुए। इसके बाद में ब्लॉक के चुनाव हुए, सारे के सारे तहसील पंचायत ब्लॉक के चुनाव शांति से हुए। लगभग 95% से ज्यादा वोटिंग हुई है, कहीं पर भी हिंसा नहीं।
After Article 370 was abrogated on August 5th, there were a series of restrictions imposed in the interest of security, which have gradually been eased. The situation is completely normal in the Union Territory and the government is moving forward in right earnest with implementation of development projects. With Parliament Team, News Night Desk, TD India.
So that brings up our In Focus point for tonight, and this is it. In Focus is Jammu and Kashmir on the road to development. Jammu and Kashmir on the road to development. And joining us in the studio to discuss this is Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, and retired Major General Dhruv C. Katoch, Director of India Foundation. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. We'll start with you, Shekhar Iyer. What would you understand? There are various parameters to define the word normal, and on most parameters, Jammu and Kashmir is normal. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, if you consider the situation that was prevailing before August, and even before that, Kashmir has always gone through a phases where what normally is described as as a normal situation, quote unquote, that has not been the case there. Now here was a new bold decision by this government to bring about a permanent solution to what has been a long lasting pain and a problem which was almost gone to the point where everyone was feeling exasperated and helpless.
Right.
That helpless situation has been ended. And obviously, when such a big decision has been taken, a big mistake of history has been rectified. Therefore, this government had to decide about ensuring that in whatever is done, innocent lives are not lost.
Absolutely.
And that was priority number one. Number two, it was well known when are you going to curb like this, those anti-India forces, those separatist forces, those terrorist forces were obviously waiting for an opportunity to see how they can create violence, kill people, and create a big outrage at a global level.
Right.
But unfortunately for them, that has not happened. There is a big disappointment among them. Now, what we are seeing today is gradually, step by step, local administration has been assessing the situation.
Absolutely.
And things are being restored. What I get to hear at this moment is perhaps the SMS service is being restored now.
Okay.
Probably we may get it as a breaking news. Now,
Right.
therefore, you can see that whatever the local people had to undergo, they very well understand these had to be done so that their own children are not subject to a senseless, mindless violence.
Absolutely.
And in the name of what? I think the biggest credit to this handling of the situation must go to the security forces,
Right.
our army, our other intelligence agencies,
Absolutely.
who have tried to ensure that we bring normalcy in a step by step without a loss of life. That's a big achievement. After that, what we have seen in the last a month or more, children are back in schools, the trade business activity is normal. We have seen this time in the apple trade, there has been a lot of uplift of apple from all those interior areas where the militants were threatening these farmers. So several things have happened where the life is gradually returning to normal. Now everybody knows this is not a situation where you can immediately restore normalcy. The only complaint has been about there are many areas where internet access is difficult, and second thing is the detention of some of these political leaders. Even that detention is being gradually lifted.
Absolutely.
That is and as for internet services, that internet services can also be used by these very forces to create havoc and violence.
True.
So, but nowhere has the government said these are going to be permanently a problem there. No, they are assessing and lifting it. Therefore, today, Home Minister's assertion today that the situation, the way it is being brought to normalcy with all caution and care, with respect for human lives, is a commendable task that has been undertaken there. And when you consider it's a bold decision to rectify what has been such a long misunderstanding of history and the genesis of the problem.
Okay. General Katoch, so the security forces, as Shekhar Iyer said, has played a significant role in achieving this normalcy, because we need to understand that Jammu and Kashmir is strategically placed, and obviously Pakistan is trying to interfere in the state all the time. There's a very big role for the security forces in just the defense of the country, but also because of all this information warfare that is coming in, the security forces have another kind of role as well. And would you say that in the manner in which law and order has been maintained in the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir since the abrogation of Article 370, the security forces have stood out and played a stellar role?
Yes, absolutely. I think the role played by the security forces is outstanding in every manner. But I would also like to add that there has been a very strong political input.
Okay.
You see, because the security forces cannot do it on their own. Now, here you had a situation by which you had very strong political backing, and especially the abrogation of 370 and 35A. Now, what that did was that completely changed the narrative, and that was why, because the narrative stood changed, I think Pakistan got rattled for the very first time. They were completely rattled, and they did not know how to handle the situation. So a new narrative was spread post 5th August that there will be rivers of blood will flow.
Right.
Now, you see, that narrative has fallen flat on its face because nothing has happened.
Yes.
And getting back to what my colleague Shekharji just said before this, when we are talking of the narrative of what peace is, it is very clear. Peace means a person can carry on his normal day-to-day activity without fear.
Yes.
So if the children are going to school, if the panchayat elections and the block elections are being held, if the hospitals are open, if the traffic is moving on the road, if the apple sale is going on, if people are working on their fields, nothing can be more normal than this, because not a single person has been killed in violence. I think that is a tremendous achievement, and this achievement has been predicated on a very strong political will and the outstanding performance of the security forces.
True.
Now, this is one narrative which Pakistan is still desperately trying to disrupt. They are still trying to send in terrorists because they want to show the world the situation is not normal. But I have served in this valley from 93 to 95. You see, the normalcy got disrupted in 1990, in February 1990, when the genocide of the Kashmiri Hindus took place.
Yes.
And lakhs of them are still refugees today.
Okay.
And that is the time when the Islamic Jihad, they always called it a freedom movement. It was never a movement for Azadi. It was always a movement for Jihad. Okay. And that has been terminated now, because the people who were giving them support, as very correctly said by my colleague, were some of these political parties, especially the Hurriyat.
Sure.
Their wings have been clipped.
Okay.
It's a union territory now, and I think there is a totally different environment, and we are looking at very good days ahead for the union territory of
So, Shekhar, let's bring in now the democratic institutions. We are a democracy. Democratic institutions are functioning in the sense local body elections took place. We have local bodies on the ground, and you also did mention the concerns about certain political outfits taking advantage, and that has been happening. In fact, the status quo was being maintained of autonomy with Article 370 to benefit certain kind of political interests in the state, and that has now come to naught. And certain political leaders are probably trying to will be agitated by that. So hence the detention was a preventive detention, and that has probably served its time in a sense, and they will probably at the right time, as the Home Minister said, be released.
Yeah, Mark, you see, even the detention of political leaders, if you see, now these political leaders of those parties belonging to Jammu and Kashmir have already been held hostage by the separatist forces. Whether it is PDP or National Conference, you have seen how their leaders, they used to say one thing in Delhi and another thing in Srinagar, because they were under tremendous pressure. And the very fact that that pressure would see that they would not help in restoring a normalcy there, they would also be under pressure to issue statements to provoke people, create agitation, because they are not in a free state, because they are not in a position to speak their mind. And we have seen that. And parties like PDP, even their rise and growth has been because there was a kind of a tacit understanding with these very forces, whose principal objective was to ensure that somehow the violence continues in Kashmir, and encouraged by our the most the most unfriendly neighbor. So therefore it was not a simple situation, and which government would like to detain political leaders? Then it is absolutely necessary. And I would even go further and say this detention is in the interest of the security of their lives, because we have seen how these very leaders needed the central forces protection to move about.
Absolutely.
So therefore, as the Home Minister said on the floor of Parliament today, even this detention is a very temporary exercise. It's only a matter of another few days or months, and even a lot of leaders have already come out. We have seen that.
So, General Katoch, now the pre-abrogation of Article 370 situation and now, let's look at the approaches of, let's say, political outfits. There wasn't a people-centric approach in a sense. You can only have development if there is a people-centric approach. If you're actually looking to contain, to try and take advantage of a particular status and or particular situation and maintain status quo on that, pretty much like what Pakistan does in a sense, or what the military does in Pakistan. That kind of a situation doesn't help anybody, because there's no development taking place in the state. Now we can see, because of peace, development can be moved fast-tracked in a sense.
Yes, it is very tragic that ever since the late 80s, I will say, that is the period till now, if you went to there was some little bit of activity still going on in the cities, but when you went just outside the city, then when you started going into the interiors, there was absolutely no development at all. It is very tragic that even in the schools, in the remote areas, the teachers never visited throughout the year. So we found a complete collapse of the administration basically because of this problem, and those are the situations which are now being rectified, because what we are witnessing in the last 4 months, especially which has taken place in the last 2 months, is a tremendous outreach towards the villages. And I think that is where the importance lies, because for the first time we are seeing actual administration going down to the village level, which is also in a way which has been shown by the holding of the block in the panchayat elections. So with that outreach there, I think the complete narrative has changed now. To a sense, I think the mainstream political parties, both the PDP and the National Conference, I think they have been left out. They are feeling very, very insecure now, because they do not know what their future is. They have lost the confidence of the people. As far as the Hurriyat is concerned, I think they have played a very nefarious role right from the beginning. And I see no reason why any of the leaders should be kept out of detention. They should be detained, if necessary, for the next few years till total normalcy sets in. But I'm sure the leaders of the mainstream parties at some point of time, as Shekharji has just said, they will be released when the situation is ripe. But the process is on. We are having the administration getting stronger. The political will is very, very strong, and the security forces now, I think, with this triangle, I think we are seeing the end game now, and we are going to see Kashmir revert to total peace as it was in the 60s and early 70s.
Right, and with that total peace, Shekhar Iyer, we are going to see prosperity, because at the end of the day, when a person is prosperous and sees the fruits of their labor, and they can sell their products across the length and breadth of the country. They have markets, the economy can grow. All this has happened, because, in fact, one of the major aims of the abrogation of Article 370 was to integrate Kashmir with the rest of the country. It was isolated in a sense. Now all those fruits of that development will take place.
Of course, and absolutely. And if you consider in the last several decades, the kind of central assistance that has gone to Jammu and Kashmir is much more than what has gone to other states like UP. Jammu and Kashmir was also always a special case. All the governments, whoever has been in power in New Delhi, they have always ensured a lot of money was given. But what is that we see today? Where did those funds vanish? And also the kind of abject poverty you see in some parts of our country is not there in Kashmir Valley. But yet somehow a situation was created where their youth were left in a situation where they don't have jobs. And you saw just when there was the floods in the river, the Jhelum river, and all those which were to take place, desilting and all, was never done. It was all done on paper. So the nexus of corruption between politicians, contractor and separatists, I think that nexus has been broken by this government. And that had to be done so that the real fruits of progress and development happen. After all, at the end of the day, what do our Kashmiri mothers want? What do they want? They want a bright future for the children. And we have also seen, in a very new approach, what I understand, the security forces and the administration has been reaching out to these parents to tell them, to impress upon their kids that their future lies not in participating in violence, looking at that vast opportunity that comes when they see themselves as part of this great nation.
Absolutely. And we can see that in the turnout in schools, the examinations, General Katoch, the students are very bright. We can see that, they have opportunities across the length and breadth of the country. Many of our Kashmiri brothers and sisters work here in Delhi. They work in the south of India. They work in the software industry. The sky is the limit, for them when they actually see that there are opportunities all across the country, and those opportunities can also be reversed and go all the way back to Kashmir.
Yes, absolutely. But Mark, you just forgot to mention we had a recruitment rally, and 400 plus of these young men, they joined the Indian Army.
In the army as well.
Now, I think when you see the way they joined the Indian Army, see the happiness on their faces, see the happiness on the faces of their parents, and then you see the happiness on the faces from the villages where they've come from. You see, that has changed the narrative to a very great deal. I think for a very long time, there was a hate campaign being carried out against the state, against the Hindus, especially by a certain section, which was fueled by the terrorists and by Pakistan and by the Hurriyat. Now, all that has fortunately stopped. This again is a very important step towards peace, because when you stop the hate mongers from preaching something which is false and negative, over a period of time, the narrative changes. So we are looking at now a different narrative. We are looking at a positive approach. We are looking at all the organs of the state working together for the welfare of the people and reaching down to the lowest person. And you're also looking at the security forces very, very alert to ensure that the last terrorist is eliminated. Absolutely. I think a time is going to come when the villagers themselves will tell the terrorists, listen, please come out, surrender, it's over. And once we come to that stage, then I think it is total peace. And I think that day is coming very shortly.
Absolutely. And Shekhar, let's talk a little bit about the point where, the people are wanting to join the armed forces and the security forces. The security forces were painted in such a bad light for such a long time. But the fact is that so many of the Kashmiri youth are wanting to join the security forces. The security forces are there with a particular purpose, and they will remain there because enemy states exist around Kashmir, and they will, and normally it is our right to defend, and hence the army will always be there. In fact, there will be a case for increased army presence rather than reduced army presence. So they would find an opportunity to work with them. The armed forces have actually won over the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, if you consider how the army has been particularly, taking children from the state, taking them around the rest of India, they have, particularly helping them in sports training. There have been several outreach programs, because army is just there not to just, guard the borders there or the LOC there. Rather, we have seen army particularly has been engaged with the local community. But despite that, there have been attempts previously to create problem, to misguide these young people. Now,
Right.
these young people realize that they need a decent life. They want an opportunity where they can exercise their choices and their future. And today, if you are seeing even a recruitment drive by army is getting such enthusiasm, what does it show? It only shows that the kind of picture that has been sought to be painted by separatists and their supporters and both sponsors outside and some misguided people who think that the whole thing is about Kashmir is about keeping the pot boiling. I think that is not going to be the pace. Local people have realized, and further days to come, when more normalcy comes, I think people will realize that the future lies in the path of peace, and the young people will be the driving engine for that approach.
And the final word from you, General Katoch. We started by trying to understand the meaning of normal. We've seen now that law and order has played a role for the welfare of the people. We've seen peace bringing development and prosperity. This road to development, how fast can it be accelerated in a sense?
No, ultimately, I think what is working very well now is that the situation has totally stabilized, and we have seen a level of normalcy which has not been witnessed since 1990. So when people say that there is no normalcy, I think they are way off the mark. There are a few people who are still upset because we don't have the internet. I haven't heard those people still talking about the 5 lakh Kashmiri Hindus who are refugees.
Right.
But they will talk about 3 months of internet, which I find very, very odd. But getting back to this, you see, this development agenda, unfortunately, cannot be compressed into a very short time frame. These are slightly long-term events. So when you are looking at development, even if you're looking at a construction of a road or getting into the factories or getting onto any constructive activity, it is going to take some time. I think when we are looking at a development agenda, let us look at a period of 2 to 3 years, and then you will find the fruits of development actually reaching the people.
Okay.
It cannot come within 3 months or 6 months. It is not physically not possible. But I have no doubts that it will come because the groundwork has been laid.
Okay.
And with this groundwork being laid, I think we are looking at a different Kashmir, a Naya Kashmir, and a very, very happy and prosperous Kashmir.
On that note, thank you very much, General Dhruv Katoch and Shekhar Iyer, for joining us in the studio and discussing this issue of the normalcy in Kashmir. Moving on to our next story then, it's the last week of the winter session of Parliament, and the second day of that last week today witnessed brisk business as the first day did in both houses. Now, along with many other things, the high point was in fact a bill to extend by 10 years the reservation for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. This bill was passed in the Lok Sabha.
After a productive Monday, both houses of Parliament transacted business on Tuesday as well. The question hour saw important queries of the members being replied to by the concerned ministers. A bill which seeks to extend by 10 years the quota given to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in Lok Sabha and state assemblies was moved for consideration in the lower house by Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. The reservation given to SCs, STs and the Anglo-Indian community for the past 70 years is to end. The Constitution Amendment Bill seeks to extend the reservation for SCs and STs till January 25, 2030.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी शेड्यूल कास्ट शेड्यूल ट्राइब के आरक्षण के लिए पूरी प्रतिबद्ध है और हमेशा रहेगी। यह आरक्षण कभी नहीं हटाया जाएगा। नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार के अंदर ही बैकवर्ड क्लासेस का भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कमीशन बना है, शेड्यूल ट्राइब कमीशन बना है, तो यह हम कमिटमेंट से काम करते हैं।
Meanwhile, the upper house passed the Arms Amendment Bill 2019. The bill seeks to amend the Arms Act 1959, intends to decrease the number of licensed arms allowed per person and increase the quantum of penalties for violation of the law. The bill also aims to increase the duration of the validity of arms license from 3 years to 5 years. It provides for a maximum punishment of life imprisonment for manufacturing and carrying illegal arms. It also ensures that those using firearms in a rash or negligent manner, in celebratory gunfire, endangering human life or personal safety of others, shall be punishable with an imprisonment to 2 years or with a fine which may exceed to rupees 1 lakh or both.
जो आमनेशन प्रोडक्शन करते हैं, हर बुलेट के ऊपर, हर आमनेशन के ऊपर, आर्म्स के ऊपर नंबर रहेंगे। आने वाले दिन में बुलेट के ऊपर भी सीरियल नंबर सीज और रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि किधर से कौन से शॉप से खरीदा है गन, कौन खरीदा है, जो बुलेट मिलता है कौन खरीदा है, कौन लाइसेंस होल्डर खरीदा है, कौन से शॉप से खरीदा है, कौन सा फैक्ट्री में तैयार हुआ है, वो भी रिकॉर्ड आने वाले दिन में सरकार लाना चाहते हैं, जो बुलेट्स के ऊपर भी रिकॉर्ड आने वाले दिन में होगा।
Meanwhile, Union Minister for Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal informed the Rajya Sabha that the RCEP did not adequately address India's concerns over issues like non-tariff barriers to trade and opaqueness in subsidy regime in some countries, which forced the government to back out from the trade deal. Besides, he said that the government is also going to review the free trade agreements between India and ASEAN countries by the previous governments, as it has created trade imbalances. Import from these countries have increased much more than exports from India.
Bharat, under the leadership of PM Modi, India continues to engage with the whole world as an equal partner. हम कमजोरी से नहीं बात करेंगे किसी के साथ. And on the principle of reciprocity, हमें फायदा होगा तो हम आपको फायदा देंगे. दो तरफा फायदा होना चाहिए. अब एक तरफा करार करने का जमाना खत्म.
Piyush Goyal also cornered the UPA government on the matter, taking to the task its decision to enter into free trade agreements with ASEAN nations, adding that the NDA government's priority is to correct the asymmetry in the existing agreements.
कोई वजह से उस समय कुछ जबरदस्ती रही होगी, उस समय की सरकार पे कुछ प्रेशर रहा होगा, उस समय की सरकार इतनी साहसी नहीं रही होगी कि प्रेशर को झेल पाए. अब नरेंद्र मोदी जी इस टाइप के प्रेशर में आने वाले नहीं, लेकिन उस समय की सरकार में माननीय मंत्री के नाते अगर मेरे मित्र ने तभी पॉज बटन दबाया होता तो शायद भारत को ये 7 साल तक झेलना ही नहीं पड़ता.
Government is pulling out all stops to ensure the remaining days of the current parliament session see maximum legislative work. With input from Parliament team, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And India for the first time ranks among the top 10 in this year's Climate Change Performance Index. It was presented on Tuesday at COP25 Climate Summit in Madrid in Spain. A report said that the current levels of per capita emissions and energy use in India are still comparatively low, and along with ambitious 2030 targets, result in high ratings for the greenhouse gas emissions and energy use categories. India is ranked 9th in the high category. The CCPI reflects opposing trends in global climate action. Australia, Saudi Arabia, and especially the United States give cause for great concern with their low to very low performance in emissions and renewable energy development, as well as climate policy. With these three governments massively influenced by the coal and oil lobby, there are hardly any signs of serious climate policy in sight. On the other hand, global coal consumption is falling, and the boom in renewable energy continues. In 31 of the 57 high-emitting countries assessed, collectively responsible for 90% of emissions, falling emission trends are recorded. Meanwhile, the Union Environment Minister, Prakash Javadekar, has said that India is walking the talk in its climate change commitments and has reduced emission intensity by 21% of its GDP, while also being on track to achieve the goal of 35% emission reduction as promised in the Paris Climate Summit in 2015. He was speaking at a high-level meeting at the ongoing UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, that's the UNFCCC COP25 in Madrid. Stating that climate change is real, he exhorted the world leaders to concentrate on implementation of the Paris Agreement and not on degrees. And with the Citizenship Amendment Bill being passed in the Lok Sabha, the government is now prepared to get the bill passed in the Rajya Sabha as well. With support from the BJD, the JDU and the YSR Congress, the Treasury is confident of getting this bill passed. It has the numbers, it believes, in the Rajya Sabha as well. 6 hours have been marked for discussion on the bill tomorrow from 2 p.m. onwards.
After the Citizenship Amendment Bill was passed in the Lok Sabha, the government is bracing itself to get the approval of Rajya Sabha. The bill will be presented in the upper house on Wednesday. In Lok Sabha, the bill saw 311 votes in its favour, while 81 members voted against it. With many parties including JDU, BJD, YSR and some parties from the northeast on its side, the government is expecting it to be a smooth ride in the upper house as well.
जो करोड़ों शरणार्थी जो धर्म के नाम पर जिनको प्रताड़ित किया गया, जिनकी माँ बेटियों की इज्जत लूटी गई, जिनको धर्मांतरण करने पर मजबूर किया गया, वो अपना देश छोड़कर अगर भारत आए, भारत ने उनको शरण दी, तो ये बिल तो उनको उनके हक देगा.
However, the Shiv Sena, which supported the bill in Lok Sabha, is sounding skeptical of the provisions.
राज्यसभा में और विस्तार से चर्चा होनी चाहिए और सिर्फ ये जो मैंने कहा प्रश्न किसी पार्टी के लिए नहीं है, पूरे देश के लिए है.
Meanwhile, demonstrations against the bill were organized in many northeastern states. Life in the Brahmaputra Valley was hit after the statewide Bandh call of two students' organization in Assam. Protests against the bill were witnessed in Manipur, Tripura and Arunachal Pradesh as well. People fear that once the bill is made into a law, the influx of refugees would pose a threat to the native language and culture. Even though Union Home Minister Amit Shah has assured that the people of northeastern state need not fear this. Moreover, many representatives of the northeastern states have expressed elation at the passage of bill in the lower house.
We are very happy once the cap is passed, it will be settled and no more the illegal intrusion will be protected by the expansion of inner line permit.
Today, I would just like to express our gratitude at the central government for having exempted Mizoram and other states of the Northeast from the ambit of the citizenship amendment. Because of the gratitude that we have, we will be supporting this bill.
For this, on behalf of the people of Nagaland and the Northeastern state, I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister, and I support this bill.
I would like to extend my support. I would like to thank the Home Minister for the extensive 119 hours of consultation he did with the Honorable Chief Ministers of the states in the Northeast and the civil societies and the student unions.
Meanwhile, rejecting the comments made by the US Commission on International Religious Freedom on the Citizenship Amendment Bill, MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that neither the CAB nor the National Register of Citizens process seeks to strip citizenship from any Indian citizen of any faith. The statement made by the US CIRF on the Citizenship Amendment Bill is neither accurate nor warranted. The bill provides expedited consideration for Indian citizenship to persecuted religious minorities already in India from certain contiguous countries. It seeks to address their current difficulties and meet their basic human rights. Such an initiative should be welcomed, not criticized by those who are genuinely committed to religious freedom. The bill was approved in the Lok Sabha on Monday, which grants citizenship to Sikh, Parsi, Christian, Hindu, Jain and Buddhist immigrants coming to India after facing religious persecution from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. With inputs from Parliament team, Newsnet Desk, DD India.
So, well, the action shifts then to the Rajya Sabha tomorrow. But what is the Citizenship Amendment Bill all about? Let's take a look right now. So, we know that the bill was passed by the Lok Sabha on December 10, 2019. That's today at 12:11 in the morning. Right there in the early morning, this bill was passed. What does it do? It amends the Citizenship Act of 1955. There's a purpose for that. It has amended this act with a particular purpose. The provisions are that refugees who are already in India, who are Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, Sikh, Parsi or Christian, who have come from certain countries, that's Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, they are eligible for citizenship. That's what the bill says. That's the provision. They should have entered India on or before December 31st, 2014. So they should have been here for almost 6 years. The applicant must have resided in India during the last 12 months. They should have been living here for 12 months and they should have been here for at least 5 other years. So that is, the government has reduced that period to 6 years for eligibility by naturalization in a sense. The areas exempt from the ambit of the bill, these areas are the tribal areas of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura. They are mentioned in the 6th schedule. And what are these areas? These areas are Karbi Anglong in Assam, Garo Hills in Meghalaya. There are some other areas as well. The Chakma district in Mizoram, the tribal areas district of Tripura as well, and the inner line permit areas which are in Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland. So, a lot of areas which are exempt from the entire ambit of the bill. Let's take a look at the brief history. This bill, in fact, is not new. It was referred to the Joint Committee of Parliament way back in August of 2016. So it's been there. The JCP, in fact, submitted its report in January of this year, and the Lok Sabha then, which is the 16th Lok Sabha, passed the bill in January of this year. But of course, the bill lapsed because the Lok Sabha ended its term. And the Union Cabinet then cleared this bill on December 4th, 2019. That's this month, and it was presented in the winter session. It's part of the BJP's election manifesto. Important to understand that the government is only fulfilling its mandate. The persecution of non-Muslim minorities in Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan is a given. You see, this is a fact that is in context. The bill is not against the Muslim citizens of India in any way. The Muslim citizens of India are not in any way affected by this bill. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh are Muslim majority countries. So naturally, you cannot presume that the majority communities there are being persecuted. Persecuted Muslims, in fact, from other parts can still seek citizenship through naturalization. So the doors are not closed to people who are refugees seeking refugee status, but they have to seek it through the normal process. The concerns expressed by the northeast of India have been taken on board. And we heard Agida Sangma there say that, the government was in interaction and talked to them. In fact, the 2019 bill it was amended to accommodate the concerns of the northeastern states, and we know that a large part of the northeast is out of the ambit of this bill. In fact, the bill exempts the tribal areas of the states in the 6th schedule, which are all in the northeast. So these tribal states there, Karbi Anglong in Assam, Garo Hills in Meghalaya, these are the areas in the 6th schedule, Chakma district in Mizoram, tribal areas district in Tripura. All these areas are exempt from the bill. They are not in the bill. The inner line permit areas, which are Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Nagaland, all these areas out of the bill. The bill doesn't even affect them. The bill, as we know, was passed after comprehensive debate in the Lok Sabha. We saw that yesterday, went on, and it was passed at midnight. So that also shows the importance of the bill and the importance that the government attaches to this particular bill. So we're going to move on to our next story then. In fact, campaigning for the third phase of assembly elections in Jharkhand ended this evening. 17 assembly constituencies spread over 8 districts will go to the polls in this phase. It will happen on Thursday. And the last day saw leaders of all political parties make a last-ditch effort to seek the votes of their candidates. 309 candidates are in the fray. 32 of them are women.
Campaigning is at its peak for the assembly elections in Jharkhand. Campaigning for the third phase of elections ended on Tuesday. Polling will begin at 7 a.m. in 17 assembly seats spread over 8 districts on 12 December, that is Thursday. Polling will take place from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. in 5 assembly seats: Ranchi, Hatia, Kanke, Ramgarh and Barkatta. In 12 seats, polling will take place from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. All political parties and leaders have polled all stops to win the confidence of the voters. Of the 17 seats that go to polls on Thursday, prominent constituencies include Hazaribagh, Chhatra, Ramgarh, Giridih, Bokaro, Saraikela Kharsawa and Ranchi. A total of 309 candidates are in the fray in the third phase. Of these, 277 are males and 32 are females. The third phase will see 56,18,267 voters exercise their franchise. Of these, 29,37,976 are males and 26,80,205 voters are females. 1,44,153 voters are first-time voters. A quick breakup of the seats show that the maximum number of candidates, 31, are contesting from Ichagarh and the least number of candidates, 12 each, are contesting from Ranchi and Kanke. Prominent leaders who will test their fate in this phase include Urban Development Minister C.P. Singh, Education Minister Neera Yadav, former Chief Minister Babulal Marandi, AJSU Chief Sudesh Mato and Rajendra Singh. To ensure free, fair and hassle-free polling, the Election Commission has ensured foolproof measures. Apart from the state police, paramilitary forces have also been deployed to ensure peaceful polling. Election Commission has made optimum use of information technology to facilitate the voters. The booth app is being used for the first time in the country for Jharkhand Assembly elections. A total of 81 seats in the state go to polls in the elections, while polling in the first phase covered 13 seats on 30th of November. 20 seats witnessed polling on 7th of December in the second phase, which saw a record 64.84% voter turnout. Counting of votes will be held on 23rd of December. With inputs from Divakar, Abhishek and Kumar Alok from Ranchi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Well, President Ramnath Kovind expressed grief and concern over the incidents of violence against women. He was speaking at a function to mark Human Rights Day at the Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi. The President called for collective efforts to prevent such incidents. Here's more.
President Ramnath Kovind shared his concern over rising heinous crimes against women on Human Rights Day. At an event organized by the National Human Rights Commission to mark the day on Tuesday, the President said the recent incidents of violent crimes against women are also a violation of human rights. He said such condemnable incidents are a source of worry not only for the nation but the entire world. Providing women a safe and secure environment should be a priority. The President pronounced that building an equitable society has to be a collective responsibility and it cannot be left to one organization.
Incidents of heinous crime against women are reported from many parts of the country. This is not limited to one place or one nation. In many parts of the world, human rights of those who are vulnerable and flagrantly violated. Thus, the ideal way to commemorate the World Human Rights Day is for the whole world to introspect what more we need to do to live up to the letter and spirit of the sacred text of the Declaration.
Human Rights Day is celebrated on the 10th of December each year to commemorate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted and proclaimed by the General Assembly of the United Nations in 1948 as a shared standard yardstick to protect human rights across the globe. Speaking on the occasion, NHRC Chairperson H.L. Dattu said that Human Rights Day carries the message of equality.
Everybody to be treated equally. Everybody should have their fundamental rights to be taken care of.
The President also spoke about the violation of human rights of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and Divyangs. He said the NHRC has connected its online complaint lodging system to over 3 lakh common service centers across the country. This even helps people in remote areas lodge their complaints and seek help. With Rajesh Raj in Delhi, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Watching Newsnight, and now time for news from across the country in our regional roundup.
Delhi court has reserved the judgment in Unnao rape case in which former BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengar is the main accused. Court to pronounce its verdict on 16 December. In Delhi fire incident, the crime branch of Delhi police has taken the main accused Rihan to the spot for the investigation. 43 people had lost their lives in the incident on 8 December. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has allowed service providers to resume SMS services in the valley for common people. Officials said that mobile consumers in the valley will now be able to receive machine-generated messages. In a major relief to common people, especially in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, the price of onion fell in the retail market after the arrival of the important onion consignments from Egypt. Onion is now available in the market ranging from Rs 50 to Rs 100 per kg.
And the focus of the central government has always been on farmers, working class and downtrodden. With this aim to help those working in the unorganized sector, that the Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana was started. Let's take a look at this report.
Since its launch, the Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana is proving to be a boon for people working in the unorganized sector. Under the scheme, a person has to deposit a certain amount every month, and the center also deposits an equal amount. And then the person gets a guarantee of pension of 3,000 rupees after the age of 60 years. Muhammad Firoz, an auto mechanic, is all praise for the scheme, saying it will provide the much needed support in his old age. Likewise, Amrik Singh Bedi, a truck driver, is also grateful to the scheme as it has negated his anxiety of financial security in years ahead.
मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है। मैं तो गाड़ी चला रहा हूँ, मेरा तो जो मंथली जो मेरा खर्चा है वो मैं भी कर रहा हूँ। अभी जो उम्र मेरी पूरी हो जाएगी, बुजुर्ग हो जाऊंगा, तो उसके बाद फिर मैं इस योजना का मेरे को लाभ मेरे को अच्छा मिलेगा। इसलिए मेरे को इस योजना से मेरे को अच्छा लगा कि योजना मेरे लिए लाभदायक है।
मोदी जी की तरफ से जो हम लोग को योजनाएं मिली हैं, तो अभी हम लोग जो काम कर रहे हैं, हाथ पैर चल रहे हैं, तो ठीक है। अभी हम लोग का जो 60 साल के बाद अगर जैसे हर महीने हम लोग को पेंशन मिलेगी, तो हम लोग आगे चलने के लिए हम लोग के लिए अच्छा रहेगा। योजनाएं बढ़िया हैं। अब इससे ज़्यादा क्या से हम लोग को चाहिए।
Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana is a ray of hope for many like Mohammad Firoz and Amrik Singh Bedi who are struggling to make their ends meet and are worried about their future. The pension under the scheme might be the only source of financial security for many as they retire from active work in the later stages of their life. Bureau Report, DD News.
And the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which aims to provide affordable houses to everyone, has benefited Chand Rashid. He resides in a small village in Maharashtra in Washim district. And the family is very happy and they are thankful to the Prime Minister. Let's take a look at this report.
Residing in a small village in Washim district of Maharashtra, Chand Rashid, a labourer by profession, could not afford to buy his own home. He got to know through the local Gram Panchayat that he has been allotted a home under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Chand submitted all the required documents and immediately obtained permission to start construction work. Soon after obtaining the first installment, he started construction work. Today, Chand and his family have their own home and they are thankful to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the help.
I am a labourer and my family depends on me. I am the sole earner and the responsibility of my entire family is on my shoulders. Thanks to the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, my dream of having my own house has come true. I'm really grateful to the central government for this scheme and for providing me help to build my own house.
मिला तो ये कुछ उनका कुछ अपना सहारा देके, नहीं तो ये घर बनना होता नहीं था। ये बहुत बड़ा अच्छा होगा ये घर को लाया तो।
Realizing the dream of lakhs of people who have been toiling hard for years in a dream to have a house of their own, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is proving a blessing to fulfill their dream of owning a home of their own. Bureau Report, DD News.
And some international news now. Well, Democrats unveiled 2 impeachment charges against the U.S. President Donald Trump, accusing him of abuse of power and obstruction in pressurizing Ukraine to help him attack his 2020 election rivals. The Congress, if approved by the House of Representatives, is in a vote which is expected next week, would make Trump only the 3rd U.S. president to be impeached and placed on trial in the Senate. Jerry Nadler, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, said that the president holds the ultimate public trust, and when he betrays that trust and puts himself before the country, he endangers the Constitution, he endangers democracy, and he endangers the national security. Nadler, in fact, also said that the Judiciary Committee would meet later in the week to consider the articles of impeachment. The Democrat-led committee is expected to pass them and forward them to the full House next week. The Democratic majority will almost certainly vote them through, paving the way for a Senate trial, which is likely in January.
Our president holds the ultimate public trust. When he betrays that trust and puts himself before country, he endangers the Constitution, he endangers our democracy, and he endangers our national security. The framers of the Constitution prescribed a clear remedy for presidents who so violate their oath of office. That is the power of impeachment. Today, in service to our duty to the Constitution and to our country, the House Committee on the Judiciary is introducing 2 articles of impeachment charging the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, with committing high crimes and misdemeanors. Later this week, the Judiciary Committee will meet to consider these articles of impeachment and to make a recommendation to the full House of Representatives.
And finally, well, India ended its South Asian Games campaign with the best ever medal haul of 312, continuing its undisputed domination in the regional multi-sporting event by finishing on top for the 13th time in a row. India collected 174 gold, 93 silver and 45 bronze medals after 10 days of competitions in the 13th edition to surpass the 309 medals that India had won in the previous edition in Guwahati and Shillong in 2016.
The 13th South Asian Games concluded in Nepal this evening. Thousands of sports lovers witnessed a gala ceremony held at the historic Dasratha Rangasala in Kathmandu. Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal, Ishwar Pokhriyal, graced the occasion as chief guest. A large number of other dignitaries also attended the closing ceremony. India finished on top with 312 medals comprising of 174 gold, 93 silver and 45 bronze. Host Nepal remained second and Sri Lanka got the third place. On the final day of the 13th South Asian Games in Nepal, India clinched 10 gold, 2 silver and 1 bronze. Indian boxers continued their outstanding performance and won 6 gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze. In the women's section, Pinky Rani brought first gold in the 51 kg category. In the 57 kg category, Sonia Lathar won gold by defeating her Sri Lankan opponent. Manju Bombaria also clinched gold in the 64 kg category. She beat Nepal's Poonam Rawal. In the men's section, Sparsh Kumar brought gold. He defeated Mohammad Asif Saeed of Pakistan in the 52 kg category. Varinder Singh lost his bout to Nepal's Sunil Sahi in the 60 kg category. Vikas clinched gold in the 69 kg, beating Gul Zaib of Pakistan. In the 91 kg, Narendra bought 6 gold for the country. He defeated Ashish Duvadi in the final.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। अभी ये सैफ गेम थे हमारे तो और यहाँ पर मैंने इंडिया के लिए गोल्ड मेडल जीता है। एक प्राउड मोमेंट है मेरे लिए भी, मेरी फैमिली के लिए और पूरे इंडिया के लिए।
काफ़ी मोटिवेशन मिलेगा सर और डेफिनेटली हम इस चीज़ को पॉजिटिव यूज़ करेंगे। जो फर्स्ट क्वालिफायर चाइना में हो रहा है फैब में, तो उसके लिए हमारी प्रिपरेशन अभी कैंप आईजी दिल्ली स्टेडियम में लग रहा है। तो हम मेरा टारगेट फर्स्ट ओलंपिक क्वालिफाई है कि एशिया में जो मेरा रैंक है 2nd रैंक रहा है और वर्ल्ड में भी 2nd रहा है, तो डेफिनेटली मैं अब की बार क्वालिफाई करके ही कुछ करना है।
In squash, India won the gold in the women's team event and silver in the men's. Indian girls defeated Pakistan in the finals by 2-1, while the men's team lost to Pakistan by 1-2.
I came second. I lost to Tanvi in the finals, but yes, India did win a gold in the individuals as well.
In basketball, India's men's and women's team clinched gold each. The men's team defeated Sri Lanka in the final. In the women's final, Indian girls crushed host Nepal. In the judo mixed event, India won the gold. During the 10-day-long sporting event, over 2,700 athletes from India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Maldives competed for 1,119 medals. Sporting events in 26 games were held at Kathmandu, Pokhara and Janakpur. Rajkumar's report, TD News, Nepal.
And on that happy note, we conclude News Night for tonight. Thanks very much for being with us. Namaskar.